We're all having the same dialogue, it's all the same quality discussion, and the children are getting that quality feedback.
It is amazing the amount of time the children come up with examples or answers in different ways, lots of different ways, which helps the other children who are there because they all do it together.
They don't realise how much work they're doing. So like for example the treasure hunt today, it's 20 questions and they probably wouldn't do 20 questions from a book, but because they're moving, they're wanting to move to the next station, they'll probably work a wee bit quicker.
Like if you're just working out of a textbook for like a whole 50 minutes, it can be quite boring, but if you're having like interactive like activities, then it's just more entertaining, but you're still getting the math done.
A lot of people just don't want to ask, they don't like to demonstrate that they've got any weaknesses, and to improve you've got to ask questions, but that's where that feedback, that instant feedback comes in handy.
There's a lot of planning goes on beforehand, so we need to make sure that this is well organised and all the right forms are filled in. But once it actually takes place and we're on the bus, it's as fun for the staff as it is for the pupils.
I think for the first time, certainly when we're talking about support for maths, we feel as if we're actually doing something that's meaningful and is helpful.
Plickers is a computer program, so it's based on the internet. You download it, you can register your teacher, your classes, everything on there, and then you put in questions. The pupils can then get asked the questions and you can scan in with your phone the answers that they give you. Has everyone got an idea? Right, I'll start scanning. They hold up cards and it then registers how many pupils have got it right. You can see as you're scanning round how many have got it right because it comes up as red or green on your phone as you're scanning it, and it just allows you to work out, one, how many pupils know what they're doing, and also whether the topic's been properly covered or whether there's something you need to go back over again. Let's pick ones where there was a bit of a problem. That one there. Which shape has only got one pair of equal angles?
It's helped me because it then showed me what I'm struggling on, what I need to work on, and what I'm good at and what I can then use to my advantage when I'm doing my kind of nationals. It stops pupils who are self-conscious or shy not answering because they have to put an answer up. If they get it wrong, they get it wrong. And you can watch how quickly they're putting their cards up. You can see how many they're getting right. And it doesn't draw attention to the person that's getting nothing out of 10 or 1 out of 10. It allows you to focus on that later on. Okay, I think that's it. Ball 28, yes.
When they use the programme, they feel it's a wee bit more light-hearted and take it a little less seriously than it is if it was a test, and take it like if it was just any regular work that they are doing, and it becomes less pressured and it's easier for them to answer.
Which of the following is a prime number?
I was surprised that I knew majority of the questions when I was doing it, and I did enjoy it, which was also a good thing because maths is a kind of boring subject sometimes. The application is absolutely free. The only thing you need is a smartphone in order to register, or an iPad or something. You can type in a question and then you can press a button that says scan on your phone. You can do it. It's not difficult to do at all.
By the end of the lesson we should have information that represents the car park outside there, okay? Everybody's interactive, they're not talking in class and they're not just getting bored because of the writing work, and it means fun learning and you're getting the work done because you're also learning.
So you get a minute 30 of each question, and then after that you get about 2 minutes to discuss each question with each other, see if your working's right, okay? But that final 2 minutes is the most important part of it. The time starts now.
We're going to be doing speed dating, which is just an interactive way of going through some work, doing some practice questions.
Well, you put the tables like facing each other and there's questions like lying on the table, and like they would put a timer on the board and you would turn the question round and you would try and answer it and correctly, and then once it's finished you would swap over with your partner and then compare answers.
When I came into teaching about 10 years ago, the ethos of the Curriculum for Excellence was to make it more learning far more active, and this is exactly what it's doing, and it's fun. But also it's got educational value. There's peer-to-peer learning in there. There's practice of what you've previously done. It will be revision based, but it's useful. It actually works. It's not just ticking a box.
It's quite different from what we're used to because we either listen to Mrs Shepherd like explaining things or we do like bookwork, and it's like it's quite different to like all the things we learn in this class. It's all incorporated into the questions.
I do find that the engagement is 100%, whereas if you give pupils out a textbook, it's not going to be that. You'll get kids that will hide behind the textbook, you know, and sit quietly. No, this forces everybody to engage.
Right, compare your answers.
Because when you do like a textbook, you would usually just go over like the thing you would learn that day. But doing the speed dating, it's like everything you've learned, just say like in the start of like third year, it's like incorporated into it. So it's like an overall balance of everything.
You're moving up the walls, down the windies. Go.
Kids love it. They take a bit of time to adjust to it, but once they get into it, they'll love it. You know, it's good fun, and they feel they're learning, and the period goes really quickly. So you know, it's a good activity.
We've seen over the years a number of pupils who have found maths difficult and have to an extent have switched off from their maths learning. So there are a number of pupils, even up to third year, who we've found have benefited from using this way of working.
Because they remember that 1/3 paints a chair.
CGI stands for Cognitively Guided Instruction. The research has come from the University of Madison, Wisconsin, and it was developed initially around 20 years ago. And in a nutshell, it's to foster mathematical understanding. So if there were a polar opposite to rote learning, for me CGI would be it.
I didn't really used to know them all in primary because I didn't pay attention, but I pay attention more now, so like I know like almost all my times tables now.
The teacher's job is to try and determine their thinking, their mathematical thinking. How have they worked out the answer? How did they arrive at the answer? And to understand that way of thinking. And from there, base the next problems on what they've just told us in terms of their thinking.
So have a wee think about it and show me your work and show me how you have arrived at the answer that you've got.
I draw them out and then I think of the times tables that goes with them, and then I try figure out the answers by going up in my times tables. So we've done hundreds and tens, like times by hundreds and tens and thousands, and we divided by them, and I think I'm quite good at them.
What they tell us is, and what we've seen is that they're much more engaged than they have been in the past. They're much more confident. They're able to work with each other, because what we also do is we discuss the solution strategies, and we try to highlight the most efficient, most effective solution strategy for a given problem, and discuss how we arrived at that. And so the pupils who perhaps have used a more basic solution strategy can then work up to something that's a wee bit easier to use, a wee bit better, a wee bit more efficient. We want them to be a wee bit more resilient, and by that what I mean is if they don't get the answer at the first time of trying, they try again, they try a different method. Go back to the start or go back a couple of stages and try again.
We were times and numbers in, like I was thinking about it and I was confused at first, but when I actually started to think about it, I actually started getting to the answer, and I felt kind of good about it, like how I got it.
I feel more confident than I was in primary. I feel very confident actually now.
In support for learning, support was targeted towards literacy, and numeracy wasn't something that we could support effectively, or I felt I could support effectively in the past. The support would really just be taking pupils out in a small group and doing more of what they couldn't do in the classroom more slowly. I didn't see any real progress, and that's been the big difference. In using this, we've quite clearly seen that the pupils are coming on in their mathematical understanding.
I would say like if you're struggling with your timetables or like dividing that, you should come down here because like you get really good help.
And then just share with Matthew, and you can put your answers on this piece of paper, right? That solves that problem. And then what we'll do collectively is we'll call it the answers, right? Numeracy Ninjas, it's something we incorporated, I'd say about 2 years ago, and very early the feedback was very positive. At the moment, we do it with S1 and S2. We're not doing it with our third year in the BGE. With the first and second year, that's where our focus, and then perhaps in third year we use more starters that are perhaps starting to link into national qualifications.
I wasn't really bad at it at first, like I just wanted to improve it, so I was more confident with it.
I was quite bad at it.
Guys, can you swap back booklets, thank you? The key thing for us is the peer assessment within it. You know, when we get them to swap booklets, we'll give them the opportunity to discuss about where they made the mistakes and how they can improve upon the mistakes.
If it's wrong, then we work as a class and get the right answer. You notice that your progress is getting better and better because each week you know that your score gets better and better. It's
a nice thing to, you know, celebrate success with stickers and badges and certificates, that type of idea as well. And also, it's been nice for parental engagement. You know, parents are aware of the Numeracy Ninjas. They know the format. We put it on our school site. MathSpace, personally, I think superb. Our new S1 that are coming up, every single pupil will be given an account for MathSpace. It's a win-win for teachers and for pupils, and also parents as well. Parents are notified when we assign something in class or for home, and it's something else that we can get them up and we can get them engaged with because they also get an account. It picks up lines of working, and it's something as maths teachers we're always encouraging pupils to do, is to put down their working, and it recognises the work. It's not just looking for an answer. It's got the help, the hint button, and it's also got videos that they can use as well.
You get diagrams and stuff, and like you can draw on it, you can make your own like needs to suit you and how you want to do it.
Don't get me wrong, there's nothing beats getting the pencil out and working away at maths. Practice does make perfect, but they're able to do that on an iPad, and it's just the fact they're getting feedback continually, which as a teacher you're not able to do realistically. 246,000 pieces of feedback were given to our S1 this year. We've had an additional, according to statistics, 18 hours of input for each pupil in class and at home. According to the MathSpace, it equated to 1.4 full-time teachers.
You can see like what ones you're doing good at and what ones you're bad at, and the teacher can see it. So like sometimes they can come up to you and go, oh, you're getting a wee bit stuck at this, do you want me to help you with this bit and stuff? So it's quite good.
You can see line by line working that every pupil in your class puts into the iPad, so you've got that level of accountability. It's a form of assessment side, it's a continual feedback as a teacher that you can't perhaps apply at every single pupil. It's very, very tough to spend the amount of time with those kids as you would like, and that's where I think the benefit comes in. It's about more practice. For pupils to get better in maths, they need to do maths, and they tend to do it more because they're doing it on the tablet, that type of idea.
The classroom as a learning environment is all well and good, but it can become a little bit boring at times. So by taking them outside of the classroom, it does actually engage the pupils a lot more. They'll enjoy it, and they could even come up with ideas of their own to take back, thinking, right, if we've done that one and it was successful, let's try something else. This is an activity where the pupils have a bit of freedom. You know, they're answering the questions. They don't need us to help them with things, and we're not guiding them around. So because they've got the freedom, they quite like it. We've even had children away dressing up and coming back to get pictures taken. So I think everybody's having a great time in there.
We've been looking about cars and trains, like how old they are, and it's helping us with maths and that.
And we get question sheets to like help us find the answers to our questions.
I don't even know if they realise they're doing maths, but they are actually still doing maths. You know, everything that's in their quiz is based on our numeracy outcomes, so they are still taking part in a maths lesson, but in a different scenario.
It's better than sitting in class copying out a textbook all day.
And it's interesting to see all the older stuff and all that.
I just think they thoroughly enjoy being out of school, still learning, still doing what they're supposed to be doing, and we're going to take a positive view on maths back into the classroom.
S2 are doing a maths relay, so basically what they're going to do is they're going to work in groups of 4. One person in the group will be a runner, so they'll come out and get the card, and they'll be the pupil that comes back and forth basically. As a group they'll work on the problem together. It might take them maybe a couple of minutes to do each question, but they'll need to do some working involved to get the correct answer. And then when they get the correct answer and the full group agrees on the solution, they come back to me, and if it's correct I'll give them the second question, and it'll go back and forth like that.
Is it 5 squared plus 5 squared? No, 5
We're doing Pythagoras right now, and we're just doing like an activity like a treasure hunt where you just find like the length of the hypotenuse and then you move on.
There might be a poorer pupil in the class who are struggling, and I think working as a team or working with someone else and them explaining the method if they're unsure is maybe sometimes better than me going over it for a second time for them. So it's basically going back over what they've learned and just making sure they fully understand it.
It's good to have like someone else's input, like if you're finding a question hard and like you can't figure out the answer, or you get two different answers, it's good to debate it because it's like helping with your math skills, but at the same time like your debating skills.
To differentiate f of x, then we differentiate.
So with the advanced higher class this afternoon, we were doing the quotient rule. Now normally, especially at this time of year, you're doing chalk and talk a lot. It's a very, very wide course, a very deep course. There's lots of stuff to cover. And so the temptation is to just be up there at the board and say, this is how you do it. That means that they miss out on a bit of on a more participative approach. And particularly with this course, they're needing that. They're needing to be thinking, they're needing to be thinking about where their formulae come from. They're needing to be looking at developing confidence in manipulating functions and manipulating abstract things. Another benefit for me, again, especially near the beginning of the course, is that you can get a really good idea of folks' thinking styles, folks' learning styles, who has got a really sharp mind in the sense that they can really quickly latch on to what's happening.
Vx squared over Vx plus 1 power 2.
I think no matter what class you have, you really need to be aware of the different learning styles and the preferred learning styles. So again, you need to try and make it visual as well for some of them. So just really you want to try and vary the style, vary the explanations, vary the experience for them so that there's something there for everybody.
That's my third year class, and they've just started on the third level. I had checked in the last couple of periods that we're really ready for this written assessment, and we had been doing that in a variety of methods of just like show me boards so that it wasn't all written work. And I was just trying to check, because it's their first assessment with me as their teacher, I wanted to check and make sure that they'd be quite confident before they sat it. So once they get it back, the first thing they'll look at is the percentage that they've got. And that's part of it, but it's also about me saying to them, right, it's not, that doesn't tell the whole story. There's some parts of this test you know really, really well, and there's other bits that we'll need to go back and revisit. They'd fill in this evaluation form here. It's each question here, and it tells them exactly what the question's about. They fill in what mark they've got. They just quickly do that on their own once I've gone over the test, and then they take that home and show their parents really their strengths and their weaknesses. Ask them to comment on what they think they've been doing well, what they think they have to work at. It gives pupils a good idea of really how well they're doing. It can build confidence then as they see, yeah, I can do that and I can do that and so on. So they know exactly what was been asked of them, and they know whether they've managed to achieve it. There's space for the parents to put a comment as well if they want to ask me anything. You're seeing a parent sometimes once a year. This way you're getting communication with them about 5 times a year.